My name is Nick Miller from Unleash the Archers and First Fragment, and you're watching RichardMetalFan.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Richard Metal Fan Interviews. This is episode number 88, and today's guest we're talking to Nick Miller. Nick Miller is a guitarist and bassist. He plays guitar for the band First Fragment and plays bass for Unleash the Archers. Today we're going to be talking to him about what got him into metal, differences between playing guitar and bass, and pretty much all the projects that he's in. So without further ado, let's go talk to Nick.
So what's up, guys? I am here with Nick Miller from First Fragment and Unleash the Archers. So how are you doing today, Nick?
I'm fabulous. I'm tired, but I'm good. End of the week vibes.
Yeah, pretty much. Now I almost kind of messed up because I thought you were in in Vancouver time, but I didn't know you were in the same time zone as me.
Totes, man, yeah. East Coast life.
Hell yeah. So basically this format is I want to do a rundown of your catalog as well as talk about your musical journey from where you started to where you are today. But before we go into that, what are the first bands that got you into metal? What made you want to play guitar and slap at a bass?
Slap at a bass. That's a good question. I guess I got into punk music was the first kind of heavier music that I was into. My sister got me into it. I was really into NoFX and Rancid and stuff. And then it was Metallica, yeah, classic shit. Metallica, Van Halen, really into the Misfits. And then Pantera and Children of Bodom, I got really into. And that's what made me started wanting to shred guitar and get really fast and stuff like that. And then from there it was like an arms race for the more extreme guitar playing, more extreme death metal.
All right. So guitar came first, but then what made you decide to slap at a bass?
Well, right. So what made me decide to slap the bass? So I picked up bass in around the same time as guitar. I started playing when I was 8 on guitar, and then a couple years later, when I was in middle school, I picked up bass just for shits. I started playing bass in bands just because I wanted to get on the road, and the positions most people needed were bass players, because most bass players are schmucks,
Yeah.
and they quit the band or they can't get their life together. So I was like, I'm a guitar player. I can handle being a bass player, and so yeah, that's how I started slapping bass.
Yeah, I'm sure you heard pretty much every bass player joke ever.
All of them. I love them. They're hilarious.
Yeah. So, from what I was doing my research on Metal Archives, your first band was called Drill Point and released the Shot to Hell EP in '09. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I had a couple bands before that, but it wasn't doing any recordings. I had a band called the Flapjack Commotion through middle school and high school. And then I was also in a band called Sunburst, which I think might be up there. But yeah, it was some older guys. I think I was 17 when I joined the band, or maybe 16, and they were around their 30s, and they were already established. They'd already been around for 10 years. And so it was kind of like a mixture of thrash metal, industrial, metalcore, and they got me on the road for the first time. They taught me a lot of the ins and outs of the music industry. And yeah, it was the first band I cut my teeth on doing gigs and learning how to record and shit like that.
All right. And then going forward, you released the Sunday's Autopsy in 2012 by the band Obdur. I can never fucking say that name.
Yeah, Abduracy. Yeah, it's a weird band name. Yeah, that one was an offshoot of Drill Point. Two of the members we left, and we did it was kind of like prog death, and we produced it all ourselves. It was one of my first experiences of writing an entire song, writing all the lyrics, writing all the vocal patterns, writing guitar solos. And it was I was really young at the time. I think I was 21, and I was playing the fastest I had ever played. And so if you listen to that album, which is all on YouTube, the guitar solos are just bonkers crazy, just
Wow.
but yeah, it was a good time. We played a lot of shows around Ottawa and opened for some sick bands like Hate Eternal, and yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. And then I know you also did Sunburst in 2013. You released the Weeping Willows EP. Tell me a little bit about that.
hmm Yeah, so I'd been in that band for a while. The other 3 members were brothers, and they lived near where I lived, where I grew up. And so we were friends in high school, and then we started. They were playing together since they were kids, and then I joined while I was like in my last couple of years of high school. And yeah, we were making like progressive metal again, like some thrash, some Opethy kind of stuff. Uh, and, yeah, and we wrote a lot of songs. We only got to record those three, and then like another single, and then it kind of petered out after a while. We all got kind of busy with university and jobs and lives and stuff. Their guitar player actually went on to play for a very popular band called Soen from Sweden.
Heard of them. They're pretty good.
They're very good. Yeah, they're very good. They have the old drummer from Opeth, and they've released some killer records with Cody, and I'm very proud of the work he's done. And I get to see him those guys all the time. I'm going to their Christmas party in a couple weeks, so we're still really close.
Wow, that's cool. I never knew the old drummer for Opeth's in that band.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they sound really Opethy too. You can kind of tell.
Yeah, and
It's nice.
and I love like mostly like the older Opeth shit, like Blackwater Park, Ghost Reveries. That's the awesome stuff.
Best shit. Best
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, and then going into 2014, you were in a band called Killatorius, and you released a release called Party Grind. And tell me
Yeah,
about that.
clitoris.
Oh,
Clitoris. I got Party Grind tattooed on my toes. I don't know if you could. The camera's not gonna be able to catch it.
Yeah,
But
I
that
could
says
see it a little
grind.
bit. Oh, wow, that's
It says
crazy.
Party.
I've heard of knuckle tattoos, but never feet toe tattoos.
Oh yeah. It's one of my favorite tattoos. They look really cool. They didn't hurt. I like them a lot.
Wow.
Clitoris. Yeah. So Clitoris is when I first got experience like touring the country. We got in a van and we printed all of our own shirts, and we just started playing a lot of Quebec and Ontario, and then eventually we got out to the East Coast and the West Coast, and I had a lot of fun learning more about the music industry with those guys. Again, that was like kind of technical death metal grind stuff. So again, I was pushing my guitar playing as far as I could take it. Yeah, and then we released the After Party in 2020, and that again was like a lot of work of like sending out the packages and the T-shirts and the stickers and the CDs. So like, I remember one summer I was just packaging things every day, sending them out to Australia and Japan, and
Wow.
it was a lot of work, but it was really cool experience.
Oh, you have some like even diehard fans from other parts of other countries.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool to watch that band grow, because it started at like, like 4,000, 5,000 likes on Facebook, and like grew it up to like 25, 30,000. It was cool to see our fans really give a shit,
Yeah, and I know you also did a little live stuff too. I know you played with Black Crown Initiate and Arimha. Tell me about playing live with those guys.
So Arima, they're from Montreal. I met them through my buddy Aaron, and they just needed a bass player, and so that was the first U.S. tour I did. I remember I showed up. I hadn't jammed with them at all. I kind of just like hopped the bus, met them in Boston, I believe, and yeah, we had to wear makeup every night, and that sucked. But it was my first time touring the U.S., so that was super cool to like see all these places I've heard of and I had never actually been to. So that was nice.
Right. Have you played in Atlanta?
Yeah, I loved Atlanta. We played on Atlanta on that tour. I got
Yeah.
real smashed.
Yeah, was it like the old Masquerade?
It was the old Masquerade. Yeah, I took a nap on the couches that were there.
Yeah,
That was a cool venue. It was very vibey.
yeah, I missed that place. That's pretty much where I met a lot of my friends. Even like some of the staff members there pretty much know me. So I go to a lot of the metal shows over there.
Yeah. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad it's continued on into like this new Masquerade, and the new Masquerade is beautiful. But yeah, that old Masquerade had like a vibe to it for sure. It was really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then going into 2016, you joined up with First Fragment. How'd you end up joining the band?
I got the offer again from my friend Aaron, and he got the part initially, and then said he couldn't do it, and then so I went and I auditioned, and it took me forever to learn the song because the songs were so complicated and so fast. And then they're like, "Yeah, you're in. You're a great guitar player." Then we played one show, and then I joined officially, and I've been with them ever since. Like just again trying to write technical death metal and do that whole thing, trying to grow that band.
Yeah, and were you like nervous, kind of like being the new guy at the time?
Mm, I've had a lot of experience being the new guy, so I didn't really look at it that way. I was kind of just psyched to make music, and I had at that point I had a lot of experience touring that they didn't have much of, so I was able to get us on the road, and I was comfortable on the road, and we were able to jump over a lot of hurdles that touring bands face when they're first getting out there. So yeah, it was a very comfortable transition for me, very easy.
Yeah, and I love that first single you did called Le Serment de... It's hard to pronounce. It's it.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
ripping
French.
song.
Yeah, it's French.
Yeah.
Serment de Sion.
Semon Signon.
Yeah, it's ripping.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was killer.
yeah, and then of course 2018 you actually ended up hooking up with Unleash the Archers. How did you hook up with like Brittany and the rest of the guys?
Yeah, I was playing for a band called Crimson Shadows at the time. I think it was like 2016 or 17. And we did a U.S. tour with Unleash the Archers. We were opening for them. They were supposed to play with Hibria, and Hibria hit a snag, and I think they had to fly back to Brazil.
Oh,
And they asked us super last minute to join, and we already had our visas in place. So we did like 2 U.S. tours back to back. Like I think we did Necrogoblicon, did like a whole West Coast thing, and then came back, and then immediately went back out on the road. So it was a great time getting to know those guys. They were really fun. I love their music. They were touring in like a short bus at the time, sleeping on people's floors, doing the grind. And so we were really good friends. We would party every night. And then when 2018 rolled around, they were about to tour North America for Apex. I messaged Scott, I believe, out of the blue, because I think I had saw a news article that their bass player left, and I'm like, hey, do you guys need a bass player? And that was it. He's like, yeah, you're a cool dude. Let's hop on the road. Let's do this thing.
and were you like kind of like nervous like joining Unleash the Archers?
A little bit. So for the first time, I like learned all the songs, and then I flew out to Vancouver to rehearse before the tour started. Oh wait, how'd the tour start? Yeah, it started on the West Coast. Yeah, I think I flew out there. We jammed a bit, and then we started the tour. And I was nervous because they were the biggest band I had played for at the time. Like they were serious. They were doing this big U.S. tour. It was a headlining tour. I think that was probably the first headlining tour I'd ever done. But not nervous. I was excited. I knew the guys really well and Britt, so I was really comfortable with them already. It wasn't like meeting brand new people. And I was comfortable playing bass because I play guitar a lot already. So like, the bass parts weren't super, super difficult. Wasn't worried about nailing them. But yeah. More than anything, I was just excited.
Right, and is there like a difference between playing guitar versus playing bass? Besides like 2 less strings.
Yeah, there's a lot of difference. I mean, just like the technical aspect of having it being bigger and having less strings is a big one. And then like your arms are further apart, the strings are thicker, so they're harder to dig through. The strings are a bit harder to press down because the strings are thicker. And then the bass parts are a bit simpler, but then they can be harder if your hands aren't as big and like there's big stretches. But I don't know. I adapted to it really well. Like I appreciate bass and music, and I like do my best to play like a bass player and not like a guitarist playing bass. Yeah, I enjoy both a lot, and I think it's I think there is a difference between the two.
Right. And tell me about like those tours you did with Unleashed the Archers. I know you did mention you did that first one in 2018. So I know I actually got to finally see you all in September last year on that Aether Realm tour, and that was fucking great. And I actually had VIP, and I met you and the rest of the band.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah.
So other tours I did with them. So after that, they had to. I think that was in the fall, and then they booked the cruise 70,000 tons, and unfortunately I couldn't do it. I had to go to Europe. Yeah. I wished I went to that. I was like so looking forward to it, and then my band First Fragment got booked in Europe, opening for Obscura. Wow. And so I was booked with that initially. Actually, I had that commitment already, and I'd already signed up. So I was like, there could have been worse reasons to miss the boat, but I was really looking forward to that. But so I missed that, and then our driver George played bass for them, and then I didn't play with him again until 2020 when the Dragon Force tour was coming up.
Yeah.
But after that Apex tour, they kind of always said that like, yeah, if we're gonna do a tour, we'll call you first. And so I knew I was kind of like in the band as a touring musician. And yeah, so 2020 we did that Dragon Force tour for 6 shows or
That was
7 shows or whatever it was, and then the pandemic happened.
yeah, that would have been a hell of a bill. I would love to see you guys on a tour again eventually.
It was a blast. Yeah, we were having a really good time getting to know those guys, and like all the shows were crazy. Lots of fans. We weren't able to do our VIPs, so we were just setting up tables outside of the venue after our show, and we would just have like pitchers of beer and just some really rickety old tables, and we just stand there and hang out with fans for like an hour or two after the show. And I
That's
remember the
awesome.
line just like what kept coming. It was just like lines around the block. It was so much fun.
Wow. Then of course that
Yeah,
last
it was a
tour I
good
saw
time.
you all with Aetherome was great, and I remember that show I actually had interviewed Jake from Aetherome, like one of the funniest dudes ever, and of course
Truly.
yeah, yeah, I remember like that show. Like apparently they were like going through so much merch. I was talking to Donnie, I think it was like last weekend, and he apparently like they were running out of merch, so they had to like sell like signed like potato chip bags and signed like socks with the. I
All the
thought it was
time.
fucking hilarious.
Every night we call it like the Aether Realm special. They always had something cooked up that they had signed, and it was never just like something boring. Like sometimes it would just be like a bag of chips or a pop can or something,
Yeah.
but usually it was something weird, like some weird esoteric idea, like they had signed a cereal box and like taken things out of it, or like the shrimp pen became part of their lore, where they just taped a shrimp to a pen. It was hilarious,
Yeah.
and you never knew what they were gonna do. It was so entertaining.
Yeah, and are you also aware of of course, Atlanta band Paladin? They actually opened up that show, and they're a really great band.
Yeah, yeah, that was killer. We got to spend some time. I think they played in Baltimore with us too,
Yeah,
and it was super cool getting to chat with those guys. I respect their music a lot, and it was cool getting to meet those guys.
and I can
Yeah,
imagine
they
like
were
a
fun,
full. I can imagine like an Unleash the Archers and Paladin tour. I think you that lineup would crush.
bro. So down. I'd be so down for that tour.
Yeah, and I know, of course, now then eventually you became an official member of Unleash the Archers, which honestly, I remember I interviewed Brittany, I think it was like over a year ago, and she actually kind of
Mhm.
hinted at it. And then when I saw like the Instagram post, I'm like, yeah, I kind of knew it.
Yeah, a lot of the fans kind of felt it coming. I think we
Espe-
talked about it like by the end of the Apex tour, they were kind of like hinting at it, but we just didn't put it in writing or make a post about it. But it was always a long time coming for sure.
Yeah, and you were part of the VIPs, and I remember saying
Yeah.
it, telling Brittany, as like Jack Black once said, just because you ain't in the band doesn't mean you ain't in the band.
Exactly. I already felt I was in the band, and all the fans made me feel like I was in the band, which was like a super cool experience. But yeah, it was amazing being announced. It felt really right, and I really found like I found my home with Alicia Archers, which is a really good feeling.
Yeah, and speaking of, I know that they're currently writing material for the next album. What's the progress with that?
Progress is going swimmingly, and I am flying out to Vancouver after New Year's to start, or not to start, but to finish up writing the record. I'd say we're like halfway there, maybe a bit more. I'm hoping that we're gonna be playing new songs by the time Prague Power rolls around.
Yeah, I'm looking
Who
forward to
knows?
Prague Power.
We might have a single out by then. I don't know, but things are looking good.
Yeah,
We should start recording soon, I think.
yeah. No, you recently did like the Acoustipex little thing, and I thought like acoustic songs from Apex, and I thought that was great. Great, kind of like gives it like a new kind of like vibe or meaning.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it'd be really cool to do more Alicia Archer songs acoustically. I don't know when we'd get the opportunity to do that, but it's definitely got a cool sound to it.
Or do like a VIP thing where you just play like some acoustic songs.
Totes, totes. I'd be super down to do that.
Yeah. And kind of like wrapping things up, I know with also going back to first fragment you released last year, Glorier Eter. See again with the French
Yeah,
stuff. I
the
can't.
French. I can barely pronounce it. That gloire éternelle. It's eternal glory.
Gloire Eternelle. Tell me about like that. Was that being like that your first like full record with the band?
Yeah, it was difficult. It was recorded during the pandemic, so we didn't get a chance to rehearse at all. We kind of just recorded all at home, which was weird. They were in Montreal, I was in Ottawa, so I was kind of just sending tracks to them over and over. And it was just a lot of time spent in my room trying to nail every pinch harmonic, nail every like little sweep, every hammer on, every articulation. And it was just like a painstaking process of making sure every note was perfect. And then solo wise, like trying to make sure my solos were up to par with Phil's, who's such an amazing guitar player. It was a cool experience. It was just, yeah, a lot of experimenting in my room, you know, messing around with guitar solos, trying to figure out what sounds cool. Yeah, it was the first album that I recorded like really by myself. I had some help with the guitar solos. I went to some buddies' home studios, but all my rhythm tracks and some of my solos I recorded myself. So that was a unique experience because I'd never really done that before. You know, chopping all my stuff together and pressing record, and yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
Awesome. So before we go, I just want to thank you for this little conversation. Great to be able to talk with you. And I got
No worries.
two members of Unleash the Archers. I'm trying to get like every member at some point. There's just anything else with
Nice.
the Unleash the Archers or first Fragment that you'd like to plug. I'm looking forward to seeing at Prague Power in September. It's just anything else you'd like to plug.
Yeah. Nothing on the books yet. Look out for First Fragment in the US in 2023. And then yeah, Unleash the Archers, new record sometime next year, hopefully. That's it.
Awesome. So everybody, Nick Miller from Unleash the Archers and First Fragment. See you next time.
Thank you so much for having me.